are the words tariffs, recession, and inflation raising your stress hormone levels. You may even be thinking, I don't have time to think about the news cycle. I just have to cope with my work life harmony and getting to work. But did you know that it can also be affecting the stress levels and productivity and engagement of your employees? Hello, I'm Dr. Romie, and I specialize in bringing brain science to build epic cultures and peak performing leaders. Been getting a lot of messages lately about Dr. Romie. Busy brain is at a whole new level with this news cycle. And I wanted to address number one, why it's happening and what it's so important for us as leaders to do. So, number one, why it's happening. When I talk about the neuroscience of change in my keynote lectures, I will tell you our brains are resistant to change, and certain cultures and industries are reluctant or lack openness and consciousness to rapidly change. And let's face it, we all have experienced so much change. Number two is most of us still have some form of memories that may even be related to trauma around the global pandemic. That news cycle is short and it can trigger a whole host of experiences. So, what does that mean for our brain? The acute stress center gets hijacked and goes into fear mode. And when the fear button is clicked, all of a sudden, as leaders, the ability to channel compassion and empathy, let alone innovation, or the ability to focus can get derailed. And what does that do to my energy when I no longer can show up as a chief wellness officer with empathy and compassion and the ability to focus and be productive and get things done? That energy is contagious. So, step one is that stress can trigger fear. Step two, our energy as leaders are contagious. So, three, what are you going to do about the triggers that are around us? Look, none of us in our industries can afford to ignore what's going on in the news cycle. But I got to be honest with you. Are you getting sucked into the drama on television news? Or you just can't stop scrolling social media? And if you had to be honest, they're repeating the same things and random opinions all the time. Here is what I would recommend doing is actually schedule time in your day that is later in the day to check the news cycles. Don't check the stock market numbers or the news cycles the first thing when you wake up in the morning. In my peak performance leadership talks, we talk about the first 20 minutes you wake up in the morning need to be something that create a sustained dopamine level. Picking up our phones and looking at what happened in the news cycle the last 24 hours aren't going to help. Do something as simple as hydrating and putting on music or sound healing to help you. Number two, look around your office. I was just in an office today in Washington, D.C., where the 24-hour news channel was on big screen TVs throughout an open office layout plan every 10 feet. And I said, could we change the channel, either turn off the TVs or change it to a video of something calming, like a nature scene? Think about the energy you have as a leader and the energy you're bringing into the room. Now more than ever, that ability to recognize your busy brain and brain shift into a place of calm is key. You know, in my leadership lectures, I talk about switching that part of your brain that's in a stress response and burnout to clicking to a place of hope. When Gallup did their 2025 leadership report globally, the number one thing our employees and team members want from us is a sense of hope. But if you're letting that news cycle and those words hijack your brain in the place of fear, hope can't live there. So I'm asking you, what is one thing you can do to switch the channel of your brain and the television or your phone from the news cycle to something that will feed positivity, hope, empathy, and compassion. I am responsible for the energy I bring into the room, and you are responsible for the energy you bring into the room. And today, more than ever, our team members need us to lead with a sense of positivity, optimism, and hope, because it is in that energy we can all lead through the change that policies will inevitably bring with every news cycle. I'm Dr. Romie, and I invite you to keep the hope alive.